What's up, suckers, and welcome back to my channel where we are being suckered into living better lives. So I did a thing, right? Now it's gonna sound crazy to some people and unrealistic, may I say, to others, but I did it. So I was watching Pastor Tim Ross's podcast, and he had Pastor Jackie, and they was talking about music. She posed a challenge to go 30 days only listening to Christian gospel music. So when I heard the challenge, I'm like, okay, that's cute, but why? Now I'm not gonna lie, any hesitations I had was strictly selfish. It was all me, right? Because I wanted to keep listening to what I was listening to. I have, you know, curated playlists, because sometimes you set a vibe, it's just right, you just want to have a certain song playing. So I was kind of like hesitant to relinquish that, which just sounds crazy. It's just music, right? Yeah, I'm gonna share with y'all what that 30-day journey was like, and like what it brought about, what was hard, what was easy, what I noticed, all of this stuff. Okay, so let's just get into it. I started on May 8th and I concluded it on June 8th. And I'm not gonna lie, what's crazy is I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I talked to my family about it. I'm like, oh, this, you know, challenge. Nobody was really like, oh yeah, let's do it together. So I'm like, okay, I see, I'm gonna be doing it on my own, which is cool, because sometimes you just gotta thug it out by yourself with Jesus, and that's cool. What's crazy is at the beginning, before, I think it was the night before, I started having like doubts, and not about the effectiveness of it, but just like why I was doing it. Was it worth it? Was it really something that I needed to do? And once those thoughts came, it was like, oh yeah, you're doing it. Because if doubt was coming in about something that would only make my life better, I knew it was something I probably really could benefit from. One of the things that I picked up on super fast was just how exposed I was. And I'm gonna just say I'm gonna talk from my perspective, because I don't know how everybody else's social media is, but how exposed I was to secular music on my social media platforms. Now I'm not saying that I sat there and like intentionally sought out for them, but it was just there. We all know the pandemic did a number on us at our TikTok addictions. So that's kind of like the social media of choice, right? So I'm getting on TikTok and I'm listening at videos, like laughing at my For You page, and then it dawned on me like, oh, wait a minute, there's a sound. And the sound was lyrics to secular music. And I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta limit my social media exposure because everything is a sound. And so once I like had that epiphany, I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna change something. So like even browsing on social media became a task almost, because I had to be like cognitive of the fact that, oh, this isn't just someone talking, this is a sound and this is a song. And then I started noticing what was the sounds that was constantly coming up. And of course it's like, you know, ways of getting music out in today's time and generation. And I remember just thinking at times like, why was this the part of the song that they made the sound like the trendy thing that kept being pushed out there? Because I would be around here singing songs I didn't even know all the words to, because there is some music that I just simply don't listen to. It's just not my thing. A lot of this modern music I'm not really the biggest fan of, and the only reason I know some of it is simply because of the sounds on TikTok. And so my exposure to stuff began to decrease, and I know that for a fact because I was talking to Tay Pancakes on the phone, and we were talking about something on TikTok, and she made reference to a sound that's a song. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you know that sound? I'm like, I don't. And she was like, it's like all on TikTok or something. And I really did had no idea. And then she made a reference to another song, and I was like, oh yeah, I heard that part of that song because of TikTok. But then like it really just showed me like how you could be exposed to stuff and not even really know it. Even though like for me, I don't listen to that kind of music, I still was aware of it because of my social media exposure. And so I was like, dang, you know, that was the moment I realized like, wow, just a couple weeks off of social media and now you already feel out of the loop about what's trendy and what the world is saying is something you should know about, right? So that was like eye-opening, off rip, like what in the world? So like that was like one of the main first things that stuck out to me, was like how much I was gonna have to limit my social media time. Now let's get a little personal. So as of like the last multiple couple of months, my hormones have been out of whack, like completely. I've had hormonal acne. Now this is also a hormonal flare up, but it is also almost that time of the month, so it's kind of expected. So I'm not freaking out as much, but like my hormones are so out of whack. I was so emotional, battling low key, high, mid key, battling depression around certain points of the month because of my cycle. It was so bad, and it was just like at one point I feel like it was just progressively getting worse. It was like times I'm like, you know what, I might need to go talk to a doctor about this because I just felt so off. Now, whether or not you want to believe how things affect us in the hormonal aspect, or like how you internalize things based on what you pull in, that's your business. Now you may say coincidence, I say God, but my hormonal balance was, who was I? To the point, and again, you have those moments where you get it confirmed, right? So I had went through my cycle, and it was like day 4 after. Now typically my post-menstrual symptoms worse sometimes than my premenstrual symptoms. Like I go like plummet like 3-4 days after my cycle, and that lasts for like a couple of days up to a week. And again, it had been getting worse. And so because it was such a repetitive thing, I was like low-key kind of just waiting for that moment, like kind of just anticipating it, but it didn't come. And then it was like a couple of days, and I'm just like, like I want to go check my calendar because I use a tracker, and it was like 4 days later, and I went in the living room with my sister. I'm like, Shauna, can you believe it's been 4 days? And she was like, girl, I ain't gonna lie, I would have had no idea. And like it was such a moment of like, whoa. Now I'm not saying that the music itself was a main contributor, but I do feel like sometimes music can aid in what you already feel. Case in point, like if you're going through a bad breakup and you go put on the saddest song you can find to kind of help you stay in that soul. I feel like maybe that's what I was doing at times and didn't realize it because I was using the music to match my mood. But over the course of those 30 days, that wasn't an option. I realized where music used to assist my emotions, it was now helping regulate my emotions. For somebody who battles that instability so much, I haven't felt that kind of like peace in so long. It was so refreshing. And you don't gotta believe me, but I'm being completely honest. Like I promise, like it was so crazy when I hit day 4 and was like, I don't feel like I just want to melt into my bed. And what really sucked about being unbalanced is that I knew I was probably just pleasant to be around at times, and that would make it worse because I didn't want to be, but it felt like something that I could not help. And I don't know, maybe that's something I could talk on later too, but it was just such a rough road. But to finally hit a point where I felt like, oh, I can get through this, and like I'm not feeling like I'm about to cry at the drop of a hat or, you know, whatever. It was just so freeing. So I'm just saying, that's just what I noticed, right? And yeah, it was pretty dope. And so speaking of music, my Apple Music is predominantly either gospel, worship, or some type of Christian music. That's just my music of choice outside of R&B music, right? But since now that was the only thing I was listening to, I had to seek out different types of music because every moment wasn't a worship praise moment. Sometimes I just wanted easy listening, so I needed to go find some more artists like that. So I did find like some people on like TikTok, Instagram. They're talking about their playlists and how they've been switching over to more gospel or Christian music, and they had some really dope artists. They were suggesting some more modern sounding artists. They were like paralleling like the R&B type music you may like and the artist to like a Christian version of it. So that was really helpful. And so I found some super dope stuff. And I'm gonna tell you when it was really hard, working out. In that podcast, Pastor Jackie talked about that, and she was like, you know, we working out, I'm not trying to listen to Miranda Curtis. Like I'm not trying to be in a whole worship moment when I'm trying to bust out this hip thrust RDL set, you know, like I need something to kind of get me going. So I found some super dope songs. Now some was blurring the line a little too hard. Like it was one song that was a complete popular twerk hip hop vibe, and like I sometimes forgot what I was listening to, and so I got a little carried away, but I like get it back together, you know. And so I didn't listen down too much, but it hit for a little bit. But I did find some super dope more upbeat, and even some gospel rap, which I wasn't always a big fan of, but I found some pretty dope songs that kind of was like, oh, I can feel this, I vibe this, I actually know what you're saying, like it's clear to me. Unlike some mama rap that just be having me so confused, and that's why I'm like, what are you listening to? I even made a whole playlist for my workout, so I be like getting it and be lit a little bit, you know, too. It was pretty fire. I even shared it with my sister, so we in the gym together, and now she listening to it, and we just, I'm like, girl, listen to this, 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 and she's like, okay, and it was pretty cool. So still looking at the music in terms of my social media, like going back to that real quick, what's crazy is, you know, how your For You page is cultivated to the things you watch. Now I'm definitely on Black Talk, but I realized my For You page still changed because the videos I was watching that had those sounds, I kind of had to skip, right? Because if the music was playing out, I could hear the words, so I was just trying to like keep myself clear of that. And I was still seeing a lot of funny stuff because your girl like to laugh, like I like to cut up, I like to laugh, but the videos I realized sometimes with a little more cleaner content, or even if it wasn't necessarily like the cleanest, the sound still wasn't present. So yeah, my For You page became more clean, a lot more Christian content, and not just like the Bible study kind, right? It's just even Christian comedy, or just like more just genuinely clean content that was still funny, still enjoyable, and it really just made social media a little more enjoyable. You know, like I didn't feel like I was unbalanced in terms of I'm watching something that made me laugh, something that made me cry, something that made me confused, something that made me scared, something that made me question, and now I'm feeling all like fuzzy when I get off, and like I need to decompress from social media when it shouldn't be that way. So yeah, I did like that aspect of kind of filtering out my For You page even more. Overall, I do feel like my mind was clear at the end of the 30 days. Like even before the 30-day mark hit, my mind just felt more regulated. Like I had space and capacity in my mind to have clearer thoughts. I was able to even start back filming and making more content for my YouTube, like something I've been wanting to do, but I just felt like I didn't have the mental clarity to do it or direction, and things just seem to be aligning just way better since filtering out what I'm taking in. And what's crazy is about maybe 2.5, almost that 3rd week mark, was when I really started to be like, there's some songs I had kind of missed hearing. There was one particular song, I don't know why, it just kept like popping up in my mind, and I'm like, oh, I want to hear that song so bad. And as it got closer to the 30-day mark, no lie, I legit felt nervous about listening to it. Not because I feel like it was gonna have a negative effect on me, because it isn't necessarily a bad song. It's just that I felt like it wasn't gonna hit the same. I've heard other people say it also, but like when you're listening to like music, it's not always the words you hear first. I hear instruments because I grew up around that kind of stuff. Like that's the first thing I listen to. I watched my dad back in the day, like lay tracks. I watched my dad build music on top of like layers based on the different instruments and all the different sounds. So when I'm listening to music, like even the first couple seconds or first minute where it's just the music in the background, I'm listening to, oh, there's the strings, there's a chorus, oh, that's an acoustic guitar, oh, that's this, you know, I use a piano versus more of a keyboard or electric sound. Like I'm listening to all the layers. But this one particular song, I like the way the music sounds, but I also do like the, you know, the song, and the song is, you know, nice or whatever too. So when the 30-day mark did hit, and it was funny because I remember taking a shower that night, and I'm like, oh, I can listen to my music again. And I was like, what song am I gonna listen to first, you know? And I put on a playlist of like just some easy listening songs, and I'm not gonna lie, they absolutely did not hit the same. It wasn't like completely bad, but it definitely was like, because I think too, sometimes, you know, we attach emotional responses to some songs, and so it being 30 days removed, or like dealing with that and just like replacing it with more godly content, just even just Christian music, it was just like, oh, now it's just a song, which is still beautiful, the melody is still gorgeous, but it was just a song. And it was like, oh, okay. Now the song I really want to hear wasn't the first song I listened to. I listened to something else, almost as if I was like easing myself back into it. And I was like, oh. And it was funny because my sister came in, she was like, oh, your 30 days over because I hear you playing your music again. And I was like, yeah, you know, but it didn't last long. So when I did finally listen to the song again, I legit felt nervous. I'm like, it's gonna ruin it, isn't it? Because when that first song didn't hit like it used to, I just knew this song wasn't gonna hit. And it didn't. Now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. I was like, oh, I missed, oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I love this, I love that. Oh, this song, you know, nostalgia, whatever. But it still was like, yeah. And as a collective, I have listened to some R&B music again. I have listened to some even a little upbeat music, because you know sometimes you get a little ratchet a little bit, but it really just don't hit the same. Like, I absolutely am still listening predominantly to Christian music, and finding even more new music that I'm enjoying. Like today, me and my sister went to the gym and I'm listening to some new song I seen was out and I liked the way it sounded. And don't get me wrong, the song slaps, but I listened to a couple songs and I was like, all right, I'm going back to my Christian music. And then it even got to a point where I completely took my headphones off in the gym, and that is saying a lot. I was just like, you know what, I just kind of just don't want to hear anything. I just took them off. And then I noticed my sister did too. It's just like, yeah, the hum of the treadmill is all I need. I'm like, girl, yes. And it's such a freeing thing to feel like I don't have to fill my mind up with unnecessary noise to get things done. It's rewarding all in itself to have even went 30 days, but to know that it is truly impacting me in a positive way, I'm very glad I went along with it and did it. And so here's me challenging you. Now, if it's not music, maybe it's something else. You can you need to surrender for like 30 days and just shift from the norm and just see. Just see. And something she said in the video was like, if within those 30 days you're challenged or you feel like basically prompted to surrender, some like to stop doing something else, to not ignore it, to like stop doing that too, because you never know what will come from you surrendering the music. Maybe something else that the music was masking, or something you were trying to avoid by listening to music. Now you're able to deal with the root, and so you just never know. I'm just saying, you know, give it a go. That is my 30 days without secular music. I don't regret it at all. So if this video has helped you in any way, I hope that you will share it to someone else who you think can also use it. Challenge somebody, maybe put in a group chat, you and all your friends, like your homegirls, homeboys, y'all put it together, y'all do it together, and just make it like a friend thing that you do, a family thing, whatever. You know, maybe you and your significant other can do it together, just to kind of challenge each other to just see where you can be in 30 days without the things that you just naturally, honestly, at this point do, because sometimes that stuff is just a natural reaction. You'll be surprised what good things can happen in just 30 days. Again, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And until next time.